Another California storm system this week creating possible severe weather there, also in the southern plains, and snow in the northern parts of the country. So we're tracking another plume of moisture slamming into California tomorrow. Already, of course, saturated California for many areas. It's this area you can see on the satellite imagery here, just northeast of the Hawaiian Islands. Not quite an atmospheric river event, but a broken area of moisture moving across the Pacific that's going to be making its way into the state tomorrow already. And this storm is going to have nationwide impacts once again. So there's the rain moving in Tuesday, pretty much statewide in California, and then in the higher elevations, of course. Heavy snow, multiple feet of snow again, and then it will move over the Rockies, initially developing some snow and rain for Nebraska, South Dakota, southern Minnesota, Iowa into Wisconsin and Illinois. But then the cold air coming in with that system is going to develop severe weather that we're watching in the southern plains. So Texas and Oklahoma, and then an area of moisture all the way into the northeast following into that storm system. So once again, a lot of the country will be impacted by this one storm that will be starting in the west coast. And here it is tomorrow, taking a little closer view here. The rain starting to move in Southern California first tomorrow, and then statewide through the day. And then note the spin on this, because this is important to create some potential severe weather. You don't think of California as getting severe weather, but they do occasionally in this particular situation that we'll show you in a second. But first, look at the rainfall amounts, several inches potentially again along the coastal areas, and liquid equivalent few inches of moisture as well in the Sierra Nevada. So another round of some pretty substantial moisture. And while not a substantial risk, there is a general risk of severe weather across central California into Nevada tomorrow. And that's because of the nature of this system. It's a cold core low, we call it, which is cold air aloft, and that's what creates instability. So you can create instability by having a lot of hot, humid weather bubbling up, or you can cool off the middle of the atmosphere, and that's what these do. So these are leftover cold air masses from Siberia or the Arctic that warm up over the Pacific, but they're still pretty chilly aloft, and that instability allows the air to rise and create spin or vorticity. And this is the situation where we can get some isolated severe storms. Even in California, they do get tornadoes. Much more rare than what we'd experience in the Midwest or the Southern Plains, certainly, but they do get it. This is looking at the lightning parameter on the European model, and note the thunderstorms popping up. The other problem with this, of course, as we know full well in the central U.S., thunderstorms create some very heavy rain in short periods of time, and that's not good news for these already saturated areas. So mudslides could be a concern, as well as some flash flooding, especially with the terrain that you have in California. So these severe parameters aren't impressive, again, to people in the southern plains, but there is enough CAPE, convective available potential energy, tornado parameters, and supercell index, all on the low end, of course. We're not talking about an outbreak, but something that occasionally California gets. It's mainly in the late winter, early spring months there with these cold core lows. Ahead of that storm, moisture is going to be increasing, setting the stage for the Thursday, Friday outbreak here. Dew points in the 60s, and note the temperatures. 80s, could see some 90-degree readings in parts of Texas and Oklahoma, and then watch the cold front sweep across the plains, and that's going to help to touch off those severe storms late Thursday. There will be some instability, or at least some convective energy available on Wednesday, but we're still pretty capped. So we're not looking at storms popping up just yet Wednesday, but by Thursday, as that system comes out of the Rockies, that's going to cool off those middle layers of the atmosphere and then bring in that cold front. And that is when we're going to see the instability actually get unleashed in the form of storms here across Texas and Oklahoma. It looks like initially, this is late Thursday, and we'll have to watch this outbreak because this could be an all-night kind of severe weather outbreak Thursday night into early Friday. So not just these late afternoon scenarios, but potentially a line of strong storms that will then continue and sort of regenerate, re-strengthen here as we head into Friday across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of southwestern Tennessee. So that's what we're watching here for the later part of the week. Couple of thunderstorms maybe up into Missouri. Again, Wednesday looks pretty quiet yet, but as we see that system move in and all the parameters come together, we'll watch for these clusters of storms to develop in Oklahoma. This is late Thursday afternoon. You can see that on the simulated radar here from the European model, the lightning, and then watch that whole line of storms develop, continue, weaken somewhat, but then as we head into the evening, they will redevelop, refire, and form in here across Louisiana. So an active week of weather again this week, and it all starts with California.